Vegas. Sophie, stay off. Now these dogs love this kid, and this child loves these dogs, but there's some things we don't want to share. We don't want them sharing germs and saliva, and we don't want them sharing meals. So if I want to teach that to these dogs, I have to teach them to do something else instead. Whenever Ari's eating his supper or his lunch, if I'm here and these dogs are here, they've got to lie down. Good dog. Lie down. Vegas. Nothing else will do. Once I say it, they've got to go all the way. And as long as they lie down, I'll let them stay in the room with him when he's eating. But if they start to bother him, pester him, circle his chair, or try and beg or entice him to feed them, then they've got to go for a timeout. And that's the way you teach a dog not to beg and not to steal food from children. Come on, Sophie, timeout. Now, Vegas is being good, so Vegas gets to stay. But as soon as he cheats, he thought I wasn't looking. Vegas! As soon as he cheats, away he goes. And I'll just do that over and over and over again until they figure out that if they lie down, they get to stay. But if they don't lie down, they've got to leave Ari eat his food in peace. Right, right. Now sometimes Ari feeds the dogs, and that complicates things quite a bit. But I've taught the dogs that even if Ari says it's okay, my word is the last word, right? Right. That's right. So even when Ari's tempting them and holding food out to them, they're not allowed to take it unless I say yes. And it's working out really well. They're very respectful of him, and he's starting to learn to respect them too, aren't you? Doggy door is designed to keep messy, wet dogs out of the house and in the front area. It's also there to keep the baby safe, so we can latch it and make sure that our son can't let the dogs in when we're not there to supervise. Now, our dogs are really good with kids, but even with dogs that are good with kids, even after you've taught them a rule, sometimes they cheat, sometimes they're not quite gentle enough, and sometimes children get dogs into a situation where the dogs get scared. So you really have to be there all the time. These kinds of things are absolutely necessary to keeping dogs and kids safe from each other. And in the case of Vegas here, even though we've taught him not to jump on this barrier many, many times, our son actually tempts him to break the rules. And you'll find that a lot when you have kids and dogs together. So it's really important that you teach your child that not only the dog's going to suffer if the rules are broken. So if your child's being too rough with your dog, your child gets a timeout too. The fun is over, the dog goes to his timeout place, and your child goes to his bedroom or has to stop playing, because otherwise there's too much incentive for the kids to never respect the rules, and the dogs have to put up with too much. So a few things like some good borders, some good barriers, some good locks go a long way to making sure that your dogs and kids are together only when you're there to make sure they play nice. No dog, no matter how experienced, no matter how loving, can ever be trusted with kids alone. Kids push it too far. They corner the dog, they tease the dog, they tempt the dog to disobey the rules. Now in this case, all I have to do is make sure I never reward these dogs unless they're down. If they jump up, I ignore them, I don't pay attention to them, they get nothing. But if they get down, they get the world. They'll even get us coming out for a visit. So as you can see, Sophie's a puppy, and everything she finds she wants to put in her mouth. So what I have to do is I have to be careful that I don't scold her for bringing it to me or dropping it for me. Those are good things. I want her to return the things she steals. But I also have to make sure that I make playing with the toys she's allowed more fun than playing with toys that aren't hers. And so what I'll do is I'll always make sure that I have tennis balls handy. And whenever a dog grabs a toy they're not supposed to have, I take it away with just a couple of seconds of scolding, and if they bring it and drop it to me, I praise them for that. And then I give them what they're supposed to have, and I make it even more fun. So much more fun than the kids' toys. I make sure that frisbees and balls are so much more fun and get so much more attention than the things they're not allowed. And what happens is the dog learns really quickly. If they want to have fun, they should grab the dog toys. Now, in most houses, if the dog grabs the laundry, if he takes off with your socks or your favorite Barbie doll, that's when the dog gets noticed and chased. And we have to try really hard not to give in to that temptation. When the dog grabs the things we like, instead, we should go grab the dog toys and play and play and play until the dog can't stand it anymore. There you go. Good dog. Good dog. Very nice. Get your ball. Get your ball. Get your ball. Get your ball is a really important phrase for dogs to learn. Now here, she's grabbed another kid's toy. So I say, no, drop, go get your ball. Go get your ball. So I just make sure I'm nearby so they don't get too rough and they know he's there. Now these dogs know this child and they love this child. And I've already taught him he's not allowed to pull and he's not allowed to step on them, which is what he just did. And he's not allowed to get too rough. And they know that if he gets too rough, they're supposed to run away. And I'll intervene and I'll make it right for everybody. I never expect them to put up with much. And I never expect him to put up with much. They all have to be nice to each other. And I just make sure it's lots of fun. Whenever you've got kids and dogs playing together, you have to have lots of toys, lots of balls. If you don't have a ball, then the kid becomes the dog toy. So if you've got kids and dogs running around together, make sure the kids have a ball to play with. Throw it. Throw it. Good throw. Good throw. Good boy. Now, normal fetch manners are good for adults, but with kids we need extra fetch manners. So when Ari gets the ball, I make sure the dogs respect him. Here you go, Ari. Do you want it? And if I have to, I'll hold her collar so she doesn't jump all over him until he releases it. Wait. Good girl. Wait. Throw it, Ari. Throw it. Now, he's a bit of a tease, but that's okay. They tease too. Go get the ball, Ari. Go get the ball. Go get it. Go get that ball. Hey, okay, Sophie, go get it. Now, this is the kind of game that the kids and the dogs love. Yay! Go get it, Squeak. Go get it. Good girl. Good girl. So with a little bit of commands and a little bit of intervention, these two can play fetch great. But without some intervention, you can see how it would get wild too fast, because he's small still. He's not even 2 years old. And at this stage, you really do have to help them play together nicely. Squeak, gimme. Good girl. Drop. Good girl. Sit. Good girl. Throw. Good girl. It doesn't hurt to show him how it's done a couple of times too, and keep the dog excited about the game. So this dog's not as happy about playing with kids as our other dogs. He would rather guard the house and stay outside, maybe fetch a ball or two, but he doesn't really appreciate all the grabbing and pulling. So I have to make sure that I'm always there to make sure our son doesn't grab or pull or hurt the big dog. Make sure the big dog gets his space. It's really important that you have a timeout space, a place where your dog can go to get away from your children when your children get too rough. And when your dog makes that decision that he wants to go, which Thump is showing us now, you've got to give him a break and let him go. Let him get away from a kid who's getting a little too rough or a little too wild. Come on, Thump. Let's go. That a boy. That a boy. So when you watch dogs playing with each other, you'll notice if they like each other, they pull on each other and they bite on each other and they throw each other around and wrestle, just like these two are doing now. They'll pull each other's legs and grab each other's fur. They can handle a lot. And sometimes they don't put up with nearly as much from our kids, and they should. So we have to teach them tolerance. We have to touch them every day in all their parts and make sure they're used to our children, used to being touched by our children, and that they're never put in a position where they're hurt or afraid, so they never grow concerned about it. They know that as long as I'm here, the child will be fun and he won't hurt them. He'll just be one more person to love in our family. There are lots of toys that kids and dogs can play together, and this is a good example of it. You just have to teach the dog that she's not allowed to grab or steal. And what happens is the two of them, they both love this game. They both love to find the balls, watch the balls disappear, see the balls show up again. Come here, Squeak. Drop. Good girl. Okay, Squeak, get it. And as long as you're the one to tell her when it's her turn, it's easy to play together. Good dog. Come here. Yay! Slide. Good girl. So even something simple like a slide or a jungle gym at a playground can be used to entertain your kids and your dogs together. As long as you have some good rules and you make sure your dog knows he's not allowed to go until you tell him it's his turn. And just make sure that the kids and the dogs don't ever bunch up. But a trip to the park can be fun for everybody if you teach the commands first. Good girl, Squeak. Slide. Yeah, good girl, Squeak. It's nice to take advantage of opportunities like this to really praise your dogs for being good and calm around your children. And if he's gonna lie on his back like this, I have to make sure that nothing nasty happens to him while he's acting this relaxed and carefree. Just make sure nobody steps on him. If there were lots and lots of children over, I'd make sure they didn't run around him when he's this relaxed. Make sure that the dogs and the kids always have a good time when they're together. And if it gets to be too much, just take the dog and give him a timeout. Give him some time alone. He'd prefer it to being in the middle of a kid scrum. If your dog doesn't know kids at all, or if he only knows a few kids and new kids are coming around to visit, it's good to start in small groups and make sure you've always got a lot of toys. So if the dog wants to grab something, he can always grab a ball. Right, Ari? This is good. This is very good. Teach your kids and show your kids that it's never a good idea to pet a dog you don't know. Always ask the owner before you pet the dog and avoid dogs that are tied up alone, even if they seem friendly. Explain that even dogs they know can get scared or cornered or upset. Teach them to avoid dogs on very hot days and to stay away from dogs' food and water dishes, dog beds, and fenced yards. If you go visiting, ask the owner to pick up all food and water dishes before your kids play freely in the same area. This is Twitchy, and she's an old cat, and you might be hearing her complain. It's because she's not really thrilled with the idea of meeting the dogs that we've got lined up for her to meet today. And because of that, I'll just show you. She might get a little nasty, but I'm not hurting her at all. And this is what I'm doing. I take a blanket, and I wrap her up real tight, just like a baby. And as you can see, the only thing poking out is her head. Now that's because cats have really dangerous claws. They also have dangerous teeth. But the main thing you're afraid of when you're dealing with a cat who's angry is its claws. And so when you wrap it, as I've just done, you wrap it really, really tight with a really thick blanket. The more you wrap it, the less the cat will struggle. And once I have her wrapped, you start to see her get calmer. I can even pet her. She was trying to bite me a minute ago, but now I can pet her. So if you have a cat and a dog, maybe you've all of a sudden got married and your husband has a cat and you've got a dog and now they have to get along, this is how you teach them. You start with the cat wrapped up secure, all claws in, just its head poking out. And you teach your cat that it's okay to be like this. No dog yet, just you and your cat, calmly petting it. You might want to use the same blanket every time. You might want to save up your cuddles so your cat isn't getting cuddled for free. So it looks forward to these times when it's wrapped. And after about a week of this, when your cat's really used to the idea that you're going to wrap it and cuddle it, and it's calm, then you're ready to start to introduce dogs. And the dog comes in on a leash. One person controls the cat. One person controls the dog. The cat person's in charge of making sure the cat is nice and sweet and calm. And the dog person is in charge of making sure the dog is nice and sweet and calm. And the dog person will have to give commands like down, stay, or sit, stay, something to keep the dog's focus. If the dog gets too anxious or rowdy or inquisitive, the dog person will just march the dog away, a little bit more distance, and try again. And what you want to make sure is that no matter what happens, you end on success. At the end of it all, you want the cat and dog to be getting along really well. Even if you have to maybe end with a few feet distance between you, end with a bit of a comfort zone, that's okay, as long as you end on the positive. Right, Twitchy? So I'm just gonna hope that she gets a little more calm, and then we'll bring our first dog in. So here they come. Come on in, Rick. Rick's gonna come in with Squeak. Squeak's gonna be kept on leash. She's not gonna be allowed to get too nosy. And Rick's gonna tell Squeak to do something. Like downstay. That would be good, lie down.
Sit down.
And tell her how good she is. So it's important that the dog person is handling the dog, directing the dog, praising the dog. I'm not going to pet the dog. It's not about me right now for the dog.
Sit.
The dog has to listen to the dog person.
Down.
And the cat is learning that even when it's wrapped up like this and it can't defend itself or run, it can trust me that it will be safe. We're not going to let that dog jump or lunge or touch him in any way. We're going to make sure that the cat is completely calm with the dog before that happens. And so we'll start with a little distance like this. Maybe we'll do this twice a day for a week. And when the cat's no longer growling and complaining, when the dog's calm, then we'll start to get closer. Maybe sit on the same couch together and work our way closer and closer together till Rick and I are side by side. A little while later, when the cat's still calm, we might switch places. I might handle the dog and Rick could handle the cat. But again, we'd wait till the cat was calm. So if ever you're working on fears or tension in your house and the animals have a little bit of a setback, that's okay. Just scale back a bit, work on it until they can handle it, and then go back to the closeness. So this is pretty good. She's not biting. She's not attacking me. She's not trying to escape. And Squeak is being pretty good. Even though the cat's giving aggressive sounds, Squeak's not reacting to it. So that's excellent. That's really good. Now this is Lucy. Lucy's younger than Twitchy. She's a cat who likes to play mischievous games with the dogs. She likes to taunt them on the tops of fences and rooftops, kind of get them going. And so she doesn't have as good a relationship with the dogs as she might. And what I'm going to try and do today is work on getting her and Squeak to get along better. And you can see she's quite tense about the fact that Squeak's here. So we're going to have Rick come in and very calmly, with lots of commands, march Squeak in and make her sit far away from the cat on the other side of his leg. Lots of commands.
Sit. Please, sit.
So what's happening now is this cat has all her claws, so I got to be careful. Again, I use the blanket. The cat is really trying to think about whether it can escape. It's not so confident now that Squeak's there. And so I'm trying to show it, as long as it doesn't tense up or make noise or get stiff, I'm going to allow it a little more freedom and a little more freedom. You can see it poking out of the blanket. It's getting calmer and calmer. And Rick's just going to make sure that dog does not move. Just let Lucy come right out of her blanket here. This is a nice stage we're at, where she's already calm enough to trust me when she's wrapped up and can't fight me, that she can handle things. And now she's figuring out that if she just calmly stays with me, she'll be safe. And this is much better. What I'm going to do in a minute is actually get Squeak to come closer. I still have the blanket in case I need it. I can wrap her up really quick because I want to make sure that no matter what, we end on success. We don't end with the cat running and the dog barking and the cat hissing. No, no, no. We're going to end calmly and gently. So what I'd like you to do is get up, Rick, and just walk out of the room. Tell Squeak to come with you.
Come.
And then walk back again and make her sit. Now this keeps the dog focused on Rick and focused on things other than the cat. Just going to make her sit.
Sit. Sit.
And then
Down.
do something else.
Down. Down. Good girl. Good girl.
Lots of praise for both the animals. The cat's getting calmer and calmer and calmer. So just do it again. And this time when you come in, I'd like you to make her sit right next to me. But with a nice tight lead so she has no options, no snapping. Make her sit.
Sit.
Good girl.
Good girl.
And as you can see, I'm touching, I'm praising. If the cat had tensed up or hissed, I would have covered her and given them more separation until they were ready for this kind of closeness. But the cat's being relaxed and the dog's being relaxed. And as long as I keep showing them both, the dog's being shown it has no choice but to be calm and polite. And the cat's being shown it doesn't have to worry, it's safe. I'm petting it, it's okay with me. And as you can see, this is remarkable. They're getting to the point now. I make sure that the dog doesn't go over the top of the cat's head or do anything prey-like grab the back of its neck, anything like that. I make sure that there's good rules here. The dog's being respectful and the cat's being respectful. But before long, I bet you, the The dog will lick the cat and the cat will nuzzle the dog. That's what we're working toward. Right. And the main thing here is that everybody's calm and everybody's peaceful and we end on success. This is really, really excellent. Especially considering the players here because they don't like each other. Good dog. If right now she started to get too excited or overreact, Rick would just march her away, give her a bunch of commands, and bring her back to try again. Good girl. Did you just kiss the kitty? Kiss the kitty. Good girl. Good girl. What do you think of that, Lucy? Is that a bit weird? A dog kiss? Well, don't get your nose out of joint. You're doing really well, Lucy.
Hey, Squeak. Come.
When you think about a cat, it's about 10 to 15 pounds. But it's a lot stronger than a dog would be in that same weight category. Pound for pound, cats are one of the most incredible predators that we have on this planet. They have got talons like an eagle. Their claws are so sharp. They have a solution in their saliva, which actually partially paralyzes the things they bite. That's why if you get bitten by a cat, it'll itch a lot, almost like a mosquito bite. Cats are incredible. They can land on their feet from 7-story falls. They're just incredible survivalists. So we don't want to underestimate the power of a cat. And that's why we start with a blanket, because when you put a dog in a position where you make the dog be nice and you control it, it's really got no choice. So it's only fair to put the cat in the same position where the cat is totally controlled. And as you can see, we just get them both to be totally positive and calm. And that way, and that's all it takes. Good girl, Lucy. Good girl. I've got Twitchy in the blanket again, only this time it's a little looser because she's a little more relaxed. And I don't want to inadvertently make her afraid by signaling her that if I'm nervous, she should be nervous. So since she's relaxed, I'm relaxing just a bit. And now we're going to have a puppy come greet her. And this is a bit of a challenge for Twitchy because she's an old cat. Now, old dogs and cats don't really like puppies. Puppies can be too in your face. They can be too much contact. So what we're going to do with Sophie the puppy doesn't have a mean bone in her body. So she doesn't need these kind of drills that the other dogs needed to curb their instinct, which was to pester or harass the cat. Sophie just wants to visit the cat. So we're going to let her visit the cat. We're going to march her right up and let her have a good sniff. If she gets it all too rowdy, she'll get marched away. Just be nice, good girl, good girl, good girl, good girl. She's a little too rowdy, so she's going to get marched away. She's not allowed to jump up. Not allowed to do anything like that. Now the cat's a little alarmed, so I'm just trying to calm her without overreacting. I'm just trying to show her, hey, that's no big deal. It's okay to get sniffed by a puppy. The main thing with this exercise is the puppy must never be allowed to chase the cat. That's the main thing. We're teaching the puppy there's a way to go greet a cat. You can go up and lick it and kiss it, but you can't bother it, pester it, or chase it. And what will happen over time is once the cat figures that out, she won't mind getting licked by the puppy. So let's try again. Come real close, nice, be nice, be nice. Lots of pets round and round. See if we can get a little sniff going. Good girl. Now the cat's actually not that upset right now. She's just warning the puppy. Don't jump on me. Don't harass me. And I'm trying to let them both know that I'm in the middle of this. The puppy has to be calm. Good girl. Okay, back her up, back her up. She's getting a little too much in your face. Back her up. We just show her over and over again. If she gets too much into it, she has to take a break. Try again more calmly. That a girl. That's nice and calm. Yes. Yes. And the cat's hardly saying a word now. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl, Sophie. Good girl, Twitchy. Shh. It's okay. No pause. Gentle. Gentle. Okay, that's too much. And march her away. As long as we end on success. The two were in the same room together. Both were calm. And both ended happy. Let's have her come one more time for one more pass. Let's see if we can get her to just give a nice quick sniff and then back off and we'll end there. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, all.
Very nicely done, Sophie. Good girl. Before long, that dog will be a cat lover, and this cat will put up with that puppy. So we're still here with Twitchy, who's putting up with us pretty nicely for an old cat. And we've got Thump, a big, big Rottweiler. Now, Thump is also really gentle, like Sophie, but he's older than Sophie the Golden. He's not as bothersome to animals. He doesn't pester and he doesn't try and stir up trouble. So with him, we need a lot less control. We can actually let him pretty much greet her on his own terms. We're going to use a leash at first until Twitchy trusts us more and Thump trusts Twitchy more. But basically, Rick's just going to walk Thump around and let him come over and check us out without saying too much. Maybe remind him to be nice, but that's not really necessary. And I'm going to try not to focus too much on Twitchy. Make it like it's no big deal, because it really isn't. It's just Thump. Hi, Thump. Hey, Thump, and I can pet him. See, he's sniffing her, he's licking her. If he gets a little too intrusive, I'll put my hand between them. That tells him that I'm here still, and it tells her that I'm keeping her safe.
Sit, Thump.
So if he needs some commands, that's okay. But he's basically doing really well. Now sometimes the cat will issue out orders, complaints, commands, directives, swear at the dog, and create a problem, which is a little bit of what's going on here. Thump's got a really good nature toward cats, but the cat is swearing at him. Even still though, Thump's a lot bigger, a lot stronger. He can be patient. He can turn the other cheek. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good. Very nice. Very nice. Sit. Sit down, please. Good boy. Lie down. Yeah, that's good. Lie down, though. Those big feet. Oh, good. So here we've got Lucy down on the ground. Is that what you're doing? And the cat sniffing you. That's so good. That's so good. And I just keep my hands in the middle because they're not old friends, they're new friends as of today. So I have to make sure the dog doesn't get too rough and the cat doesn't panic. But they're getting along so well for the first time. Oh man, this is great. Good boy. So if you just make sure you stage it patiently and slowly, calmly and peacefully, always ending on success, you get to this stage in no time, even one day. And that's amazing. These two have never kissed each other before. Good job, Thump. Good girl, Lucy. Good girl. Nicely done, Lucy Cat. Chaos. It helps a lot whenever you're dealing with two dogs from the same home if you can always say their name first. Chaos, come. River, sit. River, come. Chaos, let's go for a walk. Whatever command you're doing, whatever interesting thing you want to do with them, say their name first so they don't have to compete for your attention, so they know who you're talking to. Another thing that helps is to give them separate games. One fetches frisbee, the other fetches ball. One is your cuddly, snuggly, silly dog who rolls on the floor, and maybe your other one is the one who goes and retrieves things. It's really easy for them to develop different skills and different jobs, and that way they're not always competing head to head. And some people say to me, well, if I have a girl dog, what kind of dog should I get? And the answer is almost always a boy. If you've got a girl at home and you bring home a boy, then your girl will be so happy she'll think you found her a husband. And the same is true when you have a boy at home and you bring home a girl. However, most dogs don't really appreciate having a rival brought home. A dog exactly the same size, same strength, maybe a little younger and stronger, same sex. Because then they really do have to compete. You can't have two queens of the castle and you can't have two kings. So it's quite a lot easier to get them to get along if you get a boy and a girl. One king, one queen. Now these two get along great. Come here, Jack. Watch how Missy just takes it up a notch and gets ruder and ruder and ruder until I can hardly stand it. She's biting my face. She's biting Jack. This is just terrible. This is two-dog rivalry at its worst. But you can have two dogs and have them compete to be extra polite. They don't have to compete to be rude. So as you can see, Missy is really quite dangerous like this. Jumping, nipping, and biting. She could hurt a kid or an older person, anybody really. So what I'm going to do is stop giving her any attention at all when she's rude. I pretend that she's invisible. If she's jumping or nipping or doing anything not nice, I can't see her. I won't touch her, I won't talk to her, and I won't give her eye contact. But when she sits, I'll give her the world. Come here, Missy. Sit. If she sits, I'll give her everything. Now what you'll see is as soon as Jack gets over, she starts to try and outdo him. And the only way I can handle this is to give Jack his own time. I tell Jack it's Jack's turn, and when it's Jack's turn, I pet Jack. No matter what Missy does, she will not get me to stop petting Jack because it's Jack's turn. If she gets really rude, I'll put her in a cage or put her in another room. Just like right now, I'll take her into another area if I have to. But I won't let her interrupt. Stay, Jack. So what I'm trying to teach them is the one that's polite is the one that gets my attention. The polite one, not the rude one. When you walk home from work or school and you walk in the door and your dogs jump all over you, don't pet them. Pet the one who's being polite. And what you'll find is they'll compete to be polite, to be the best dogs they can be. So now it's Jack's turn, and he gets to be petted without being jumped on and nipped, without having to get rude himself to get his fair share. And when his turn's finished, okay, Jack, all done, I'll switch. Because Jack's such a good gentleman, I don't have to separate Jack from Missy's turn. Jack can be here for that. I just have to make sure whenever I talk to the two dogs, Missy, down, Missy, sit. I say their names first. And if they're polite, they get my attention. Missy, sit. Good girl. Just like this. Now, if she loses her control and starts to jump, I'll stop. Teaching her that if she's rude, she never gets her attention, she never gets pet. Come on, Missy. Sit. Good girl. Good girl, Missy. This is the kind of greeting I want to come home to. Good girl, Missy. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl.
If you really want to get two dogs of the same sex, then get two dogs of a very different breed with a very different attitude and function. A lapdog and a protector, or a retriever and a terrier. Either that, or if you have to have two dogs of your favorite breed, then get one boy and one girl. Make sure dogs aren't forced to share food or water dishes, dog beds, or prized possessions when they are first learning to live or visit together. Feed them at the same time in separate areas to avoid food sharing and intimidation.